There's a wealth of comedy on BBC One this autumn.
Oh, well, go on then. I'm up for it.
What do fish look like exactly?
Tracy's pulling the wool over Sharon's eyes.
£1,000 for a knitting machine?
By making and selling my own exclusive one-off knitwear designs, I can recover my outlay in no time.
Only if you knit yourself a balaclava and hold up the Bradford and Bingley.
Cutting comments are flying in Nice Day at the Office.
Humour film, used responsibly, can be like a drop of oil on troubled waters. However, this morning, your humorous outpourings are like a tanker disaster on the coastline of my goodwill. I hate
And Ben's learning the facts of life.
a wonder bra.
Well, you start with this, and you end up with that.
No, they weren't like that.
BBC One's bursting with comedy this autumn.
And the laughs start now on BBC One with GagTag.
Good evening, thank you very much indeed. My name is Boutros Ghali, but you can call me Sugar. Welcome to GagTag, where top comedians battle it out with live ammunition until only one remains. The winner qualifying automatically for a celebrity spot on Tom O'Connor's Crosswits. It's half an hour of mindless fun, and remember, it can only help you lose weight if it forms part of a calorie-controlled diet. Team captain Bob Monkhouse has already lost 33 pounds thanks to GagTag, and from the weight that Bob has shed, we've managed to create a whole new comedian, the after to Bob's before, Mr. Tony Hawks. And on the opposite side of our comedy neighbourhood, next door to team captain Frank Skinner at number 321, it's Buck Rogers' dad, Roy Rogers' brother, but of course no relation to Ginger, Mr. Ted Rogers. So, as Tory MPs are fond of saying, let's play GagTag. And our first obstacle on this comedy Krypton factor is our As the Saying Goes round. I give the teams a well-known phrase and they provide a new ending, such as, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, said the annual report of the Schizophrenics Association. Fingers on buzzers, please, gentlemen, and here we go. If at first you don't succeed... Bob.
If at first you don't succeed, so much for skydiving.
Friends, Romans, countrymen... Tony?
Can you keep the noise down a bit? I'm trying to sleep.
Little Jack Horner sat in his corner... Bob?
Till the teacher found out what the dirty little beast was up to.
You know, there's always an element of autobiography in your answer.
Sorry. No, little Jack Horner sat in the corner. B.O. Do you remember that?
I remember B.O. I still have some.
Don't I know it?
We're...
It's a lack of personal daintiness that's driven you from me.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just your smell.
Oh.
Why do birds suddenly appear... Ted?
Whenever the wife's with me.
Hey, and nice to see birds used in that 70s style again. Here we go. Don't put your daughter on the stage, Mrs. Worthington. Tony.
And the same goes for you, Mrs. Minogue.
That is so unfair. I'm sorry.
I'd like to teach the world to sing... Bob.
But I draw the line at Scylla.
You won't give that woman a break.
Excuse me, are you talking about Scylla Black? I wasn't.
No. Oh, sorry. I like Scylla because even though she's had lots of fame, she still looks like the girl next door. Well, she does if you live on cell block H.
There's a new game show where you go on and try to get a date with Scylla. It's called Blind Drunk.
Time waits for no man. Ted.
Unless you're watching Terry Christian, then it tends to drag a bit.
One of those gags...
Terry Christian. I mean, no one's safe, are they?
There we go, another one. The grand old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men... Tony?
A man needs hobbies.
Well, Frank?
The grand old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men, but what do you expect him to do when his wife's just writing about helicopters all the time?
Hold on.
Split the audience there. Split the audience in two, the pro-Fergies.
Mary had a little lamb. Frank?
And Linda McCartney never spoke to her again. Which is not a massive disadvantage.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Another memory from a blast from the past. Mary had a little lamb. The doctors all tried, oh, but when old MacDonald had a farm... Yeah.
You know, every morning I sing that song to my tiny infant daughter, Bob. And now it's going to take on a horrible new complexion. There's many a slip twixt cup and lip. Frank?
But that's breastfeeding for you.
Go ahead, punk.
Go ahead, punk. Then turn left at the lights. Straight down the side avenue, third on the right.
Our impartial score this week is the Cocoa Pops Monkey, and he reckons the score at the end of that round is 9 for Frank and Ted, but in the lead with 11, it's Bob and Tony. You're watching GagTag, your weekly investigation into the world of processed cheese.
Just tell you this,
yes, Frank, what do you want to say now?
A bloke was in a supermarket and...
Is this a processed cheese gag?
And the assistant said, would you like to try some European processed cheese? And he said, no, there's too many E's in it. Oh, hey!
We now slide rather improbably on a banana skin into the round we call Comedy Connections. Our comedy sleuths must find the subtle connection that links 3 clips. Bob and Tony, you have the first assignment. Look at these.
I really don't understand how you can do things like that.
Like what?
You told the vicar there was no God.
It's just a little theological discussion.
And he said there was, and you said if that were the case, presumably he could help keep his ministers from harm. And he said there was certainly that possibility.
Well, it all seems pretty harmless so far.
Then you stamped on his foot. And said, where was God that time, Buster?
Yes. Yes. Yes, he's here. I'll tell him. Yes, Prime Minister.
I think the connection is the Bible, religion, because that was Peter Egan.
Mm-hmm.
Then we saw the cast of Neighbours.
Yep.
And then we saw Paul Eddington as the, Prime Minister. So I think the connection must be, Peter was one of the disciples in the Bible, Paul was one of the disciples in the Bible, and when you see Neighbours, you go, oh my God.
I just realised when you do these kind of the more tenuous linking rambles that you do, it does remind me a little bit of, do you remember at the end of 3, 2, 1 when they had to try and make some sense of a show with no rules, absolutely?
I'm not having. If you think I'm going to let you
No, I wasn't having a go. I liked the show.
Can I just get Ted to give us a quick?
Yep.
Before we...
I don't know whether it still works. Yeah.
Oh, hey?
Left hand.
That was it. That was great.
He's still got it. There's clues at the end. You used to get things like, right, this clue number 3 is, you've won a holiday in Spain. And they'd say, oh, I'll have that one. And he'd say, bad luck. Spain rhymes with drain. And we keep our bin by the drain in the yard. So you got the bin. Kind of a game, isn't it?
Well, Myra Show has the courage to show you the dustbin they get the script out of.
OK, well, let's go back. Sorry, I digressed terribly. We're on Comedy Connections. There were 3 clips. You want to have another stab at it?
Yes, I'd like, if I can remember back that far, I'd like to have a stab at answering this question, because as we established, the first person was Peter Egan, and Peter Egan is Irish, and then at the end there was Paul Eddington. Paul Eddington is English, and Neighbours is rubbish.
Now we're back to 3, 2, 1.
So Ish is the connection.
Ish is the connection.
Neighbours is the connection, and Neighbours is the connection because Paul Eddington and Peter Egan were both neighbours of Richard Briers. Peter Egan in ever-decreasing circles, and Paul Eddington in The Good Life.
That's the answer. That's the answer. Well done, Bob. You're OK. Let's have one more lot here. This is for Frank and Ted. I've just realised because you sound like proper celebrities, Bob and Tony, but Frank and Ted, you do sound like a couple of plumbers, don't you? Frank and Ted, emergency 24-hour call-out. Just leave us your access card and we'll be back in a couple of hours.
Jonathan. If it was me, I'd call myself John, you know, but some people, they want all the syllables in there.
Here's one for Frankie and Teddy. 3 clips. What's the connection, please?
See a pond or a lake or a very, very large puddle?
Yes.
That's your bed, that is. You're on the front cover of Bedwetters Monthly.
My name's Bond. I'm a private eye. At least this one's private, this one's national health.
OK, so what's the connection for
Well,
us?
the connection, I think, well...
Well, Dave Baddiel is my flatmate, in fact, and Ted is my teammate. But that's not going to be it, is it? He's actually, we live in the same flat, me and Dave, right? It's absolutely true. Now, so we've got Ted Rogers, and so does David Mellor.
Good night, everybody.
But, I think, am I the connection there? I don't really see it. I'm the only one that's not been out with a Spanish actress. Is that it?
I don't know. I can't speak for David Baddiel.
No, I don't. Well, he might have been.
No idea. But that's not what I'm looking for.
She's reported to have been with him in the bedroom, of course, and he was in the Chelsea strip, so they say.
Oh, dear.
That's it, yeah.
That's
no,
it.
Just a second. She said he was no good at football because halfway through he didn't pass, he started dribbling. And then he wanted to change ends, but that was another story. I reckon we're all Chelsea supporters. It's got to be, isn't it?
That's the one. David Baddiel, David Mellor and Ted Rogers are all Chelsea supporters. That's it. It's as simple as that.
Well done.
Division 1? Yes. Well, our trained monkey reckons that the scores now stand at 15 for Frank and Ted, but in the lead still with 18, it's Bob and Tony.
Oh,